Khanda Bhava नमो प्रभु वाक्यमना छे छंद भक्तवृंद आरती तोमा गाय छे छंद भक्तवृंद आरती तोमा जय जय आरती तोमा हर हर आरती तोमा शिव शिव आरती तोमा गुरु महाराज की जय। ओम ह्रीं वृतं तोम चलो गुणजे गुणेन्द्यः नक्तं दिवं सकरुणं तव पाद पद्मम् मोहङ्गशं बहुकृतं न भजे यतोऽहं तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीन बन्धो भक्तिर्भगश्च भजनं भवभेदकारी गच्छन्त्यलं सुविपुलं गमनाय तत्त्वं वक्त्रोद्धृतोऽपि हृदये न मे भाति किञ्चित् तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीन बन्धो तेजस्तरन्ति तरसा त्वयि तृप्त तृष्णा रागे कृते ऋतपथे त्वयि राम कृष्णे मर्त्यामृतं तव पदं मरणोर्मि नाशं तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीन बन्धो कृत्यं करोति कलुषं कुहकान्तकारी स्नान्तं शिवं सुविमलं तव नाम नाथ यस्मादहं त्वशरणो जगदेकगम्या तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीन बन्धो। ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्म स्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। सर्वमंगल मांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणे नमोस्तुते। सृष्टि स्थिति विनाशानां शक्ति भूते सनातनी गुणाशये गुणमये नारायणे नमोस्तुते। शरणागत दीनार्त परित्राण परायणे सर्वस्यार्थे हरे देवी नारायणे नमोस्तुते। जय नारायण। नमोस्तुते जय नारायणी नमोस्तुते जय नारायणी नमोस्तुते। जय महामाई की जय, जय भगवान श्री रामकृष्ण देव की जय, जय स्वामी जी महाराज की जय। प्रकृतिं परमां अभयां वरदां नररूपधरां जनतापहरां शरणागतसेवकतोषकरीं प्रणमामि परां जननीं जगता गुणहीनसुतां अपराधयुतां कृपयाद्य समुद्धरमोहगतां तरणीं भवसागरपारकरीं प्रणमामि परां जननीं जगता विषयं कुसुमं परिहृत्य सदा शरणाम्बुरुहा मृतशान्तिसुधां पिबभृङ्गमनो भवरोगहरा प्रणमामि परां जननीं जगता कृपां कुरु महादेवी सुतेषु प्रणतेषु च शरणाशयदाने कृपामयि नमोस्तुते लज्जापटावृते नित्यं शारदे ज्ञानदायिके पापेभ्यो नः सदा रक्ष कृपामयि नमोस्तुते रामकृष्णगतप्राणान् तन्नाम श्रवणप्रियां तद्भाव रञ्जिताकारां प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः पवित्रं चरितं यस्या पवित्रं जीवनं तथा पवित्रता स्वरूपिण्यै तस्यै कुर्मो नमो नमः। देवीं प्रसन्ना प्रणता त्रिहन्त्रीं योगेन्द्रपूजा योगधर्मपात्रीं तां शारदां भक्ति विज्ञान से सदोषा स्वाङ्गे गृहीत्वा यदिदं विचित्रं प्रसीद मातर्विनयेन याचे नित्यं भव स्नेह भक्ति सुतेषु प्रेमैकविन्दुं क्षीरदग्धचित्ते विषिञ्च चित्तं पुरुधा सुशान्तम् जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयोषित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः।
नमः श्री अतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरय सच्चित् सुख स्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे. So we were discussing in the previous turn this argument that Vivekananda puts forward in this lecture, Unity in Diversity, that these ethical ideas, namely good and bad, though we tend to think of them immaturely as polar opposites, and we are inclined to take this view of good and bad as polar opposites basically because we look at them from an excessively personal point of view. When one takes a larger, more detached perspective, then they seem to be aspects of the same reality. And he's progressing towards that by the common sense, in terms of the common sense understanding of what we mean by good and bad. When we say that something is good, it's something that brings joy or happiness to us. And when we say that something is bad, it's something that brings misery, pain to us. So really, the inquiry, when we inquire into these ethical ideas of good and bad, what we are really inquiring into, what is good for me, what is bad for me, and hence, what is it that brings pleasure, what is it that brings pain to me. The aim here is to cut through this superficial dimension and get to the essence of things. Basically, what is being proposed here is that this is really a rather superficial way of looking at things, and one needs to inquire further. And it's basically said before that in this world we find that all happiness is followed by misery as its shadow. This was in the previous turn. Now, he's coming to the coexistence of joy and pain, or pleasure and pain, in any place. He says, this is a lecture delivered in London, yeah? And so he's really addressing the local people there. Take your country, which is the richest in the world. This is early 20th century, late 19th century. And which is more luxurious than any other. And see how intense is the misery, how many more lunatics you have compared with other races, only because the desires are so keen. A man must keep up a high standard of living, and the amount of money he spends in 1 year would be a fortune to a man in India. You cannot preach to him of simple living because society demands so much of him. The wheel of society is rolling on. It stops not for the widow's tears or the orphan's wails. This is the state of things everywhere. Your sense of enjoyment is developed. Your society is very much more beautiful than some others. You have so many more things to enjoy. But those who have fewer have much less misery. You can argue thus throughout. The higher the ideal you have in the brain, the greater is your enjoyment and the more profound your misery. One is like the shadow of the other. That the evils are being eliminated may be true, but if so, the good also must be dying out. But are not evils multiplying fast and good diminishing, if I may so put it? If good increases in arithmetical progression, evil increases in geometrical progression. And this is Maya. This is neither optimism nor pessimism. Vedanta does not take the position that this world is only a miserable one. Why? That would be untrue. At the same time, it is a mistake to say that this world is full of happiness and blessings. So it is useless to tell children that this world is all good, all flowers, all milk and honey. That is what we have all dreamt. At the same time, it is erroneous to think because one man has suffered more than another that all is evil. It is this duality, this play of good and evil that makes our world of experiences. At the same time, the Vedanta says, do not think that good and evil are two separate essences, for they are one and the same thing, appearing in different degrees and in different guises, and producing differences of feeling in the same mind. So the first thought of the Vedanta is the finding of unity in the external, the one existence manifesting itself, however different it may appear in manifestation. Think of the old crude theory of the Persians. Two gods creating this world. The good God doing everything that is good, and the bad one everything bad. On the very face of it, you see the absurdity, for if it be carried out, every law of nature must have two parts, one of which is manipulated by one God, and then he goes away, and the other God manipulates the other part. Where the difficulty comes that both are working in the same world, and these two gods keep themselves in harmony by injuring one portion and doing good to another. There the difficulty comes that, this is a crude case. Of course, the crudest way of expressing the duality of existence. But take the more advanced, the more abstract theory that this world is partly good and partly bad. This also is absurd, arguing from the same standpoint. It is the law of unity that gives us our food, and it is the same law that kills many through accidents or misadventure. We find then that this world is neither optimistic nor pessimistic. It is a mixture of both. And as we go on, we shall find that the whole blame is taken away from nature and put upon our own shoulders. So here is the analysis of something that is an existential problem. When faced with a source of pain or joy, our usual reaction is to either cringe or run away from the source of pain, or react with violence and vehemence against it. And when something good comes along, we immediately try to grab it. This is the instinctive reaction of the mind. So where really does the good lie? Where really does the bad lie? Is it in the external thing, or is it in our reaction? And this little bit of introspection basically says that no, it is in this reaction, in our reaction to a situation, that all good and bad, all pleasure and pain lie. This is, in some sense, almost a tautology. It's not that there is something objectively real about good and bad. There is not something objectively real about pleasure and pain. It's almost by definition. A little bit of introspection tells us that what happens is something that it lies in our perception. Our emotional response to a life situation is exactly what defines for us something to be good or bad, something to be pleasurable or painful. Once we understand that, we start looking for evidence. I mean, we can do it one of two ways. We can try to take this as the hypothesis that it's really a subjective reality, and then start trying to verify or falsify it in terms of our experience in the world. And what he did at first, what Vivekananda did at first at the beginning of this paragraph, is cite empirical evidence in terms of this particular hypothesis that good and bad, pleasure and pain are really subjective realities, not objective realities. What did he do? He took the instance of the society then obtaining in England. He said, look, here you are in a situation where the objective reality provides you with, perhaps in those times, the most number of sources of joy or pleasure. In some sense, the most good. But then, simultaneously, it brings with it pain and misfortune. The same people who are able to be responsive to, receptive to all these sources of joy have had their minds immediately converted to something that is simultaneously receptive to both pleasure and pain. You cannot expect that a mind which is receptive to pleasure and this kind of joy is going to be immune to pain. That's the point that he stresses here. That look, if the instrument, namely the mind, is responsive, responds to some source of joy, the absence of that is immediately going to bring that particular mind pain and misery. You cannot expect an individual to be able to respond only to joy and be callous or non-responsive to pain. So the problem then does not lie in the external world, but the fact that the mind is sensitive to certain sources of stimuli, and if that stimulus is called joy, then that same mind will be equally responsive to its negation, which is pain. Having said that, what is the way out? See, and this is where the immaturity of human thought as it progresses through its stages of evolution comes into picture. Because we desire pleasure, we imagine a heaven after death which is full of pleasures. Because we try to cringe away from, move away from pain, we imagine a hell which is sources of pain. And so it goes on. And therefore you take this idea of heaven to the extreme, and then you have a personal God which is responsible for all the good. And simultaneously another God, call it a devil, call it whatever you like, responsible for all the bad. What's happening here is that one has not understood, one has not grasped the locus, the point at which pleasure and pain are defined. And one is trying to impose these upon an external world, instead of the fact that it's almost obvious that it is my response to the world that defines pleasure or pain. We are forgetting this my response and saying, oh no, the world is painful or the world is pleasurable. And this particular difference is all that matters. This incapacity to differentiate between the objective stimulus and the subjective response to it, this incapacity to differentiate between these two is what defines a viveka. Non-discrimination, lack of analysis as a method of penetrating into one's mind. Yeah? This is exactly what Shankara calls moha, and this global aspect of things is what Vivekananda has referred to as maya here. What then? And the real answer is that the world is. It's neither good nor bad, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, neither pleasurable nor painful. It is. It is our responses to it that makes it pleasurable or painful. Solution? Do we make our minds dull and dead? But then, that's essentially the status of sticks and stones. Which means, somehow or the other, we are, trying to make ourselves comatose, non-responsive, callous. That cannot be the truth. Because anything that we value, in particular, anything that we regard as true, is not something that is dull and dead. It has a conscious principle in it. So if we are to find a solution that satisfies us in what sense? Our capacity to inquire, our capacity to feel, our capacity to act. These capacities need to be fulfilled, which means our conscious faculties need to be fulfilled. And they can be fulfilled if only we understand these polarities. If we grasp the essence of these polarities and see in our hearts that these things are not really different, it is our mind itself which is responding to something positive, something in a positive way, to something else in a negative way. And understand that reaction. As soon as you detach yourself subjectively from that reaction, then you see that the reaction happens. And when that reaction happens, we say sometimes that, oh, this reaction is exactly what I would translate into saying, I am happy. Or, there's another reaction and if we study it, objectively studying our response, and we say, oh, this is the reaction of the mind to which I associated the expression, I am sad. Which means that this I am happy, I am sad, is now being put forward as something that is a perceived reality. It's not the reality in itself. What is real is the perceiver who is noticing this reaction of the mind and saying, oh, this reaction of the mind is labeled, I am happy. This reaction of the mind is labeled, I am sad. What has happened is that in some sense, the I, which perceives these motions of the mind, has actually moved a little deeper to a more fundamental aspect from which responses of the mind are seen as objective objects of perception. And so they should be studied, they should be understood. Just as we study these various objects around us and try to extract information out of them, so also in and through these mental reactions, once we start studying them, we extract knowledge. Knowledge is a unifying principle. It is not something that is fragmented. It is what unifies experiences of joy and experiences of pain. It is what unifies experiences of good and experiences of bad. If this unification, the person in whom this sense of unification or the sense of unity in these diverse phenomena is predominant, such a person does not get thrown off kilter, which means the person's balance is not destroyed by some little thing happening outside. What then? The person develops a certain poise. It does not mean that that person has to react in the world by moving around very stoically. It will be, those things are never going to be tested by small phenomena. But it's going to be tested by what happens when that person is subject to extreme stress. Does that person break down? Is that person's mind fragile? Does it generally say, oh, I have lost all meaning to live? When something adverse affects that person. Similarly, when something completely delightful appears, is that man also equally thrown off kilter and keeps jumping up and down? Yeah. And experience, essentially the mind is agitated and is disturbed. It's precisely this capacity to accept these polar opposites despite the subjective reaction that makes a person more and more mature emotionally. Yeah? Not important. So yeah, with the experience of joy that comes one's way, one understands, okay, this is a temporary phase, the mind is joyful now. Similarly, when some painful experience comes along, he says, okay, this painful experience has come, it's going to pass. Which means the impermanence of mental reactions has become something that is known as true by the individual. It's not something that is permanent, and therefore what is permanent is this knower that knows these experiences of good and bad, of pleasure and pain, as things that are coming on the screen of the mind, staying there for some time, and then vanishing. In the Vivek ceremony, there is a beautiful imagery that is given, like the clouds that come into the sky, into our field of vision, sometimes covering the sun, sometimes luminescent with the sun's rays, stay for a while and then vanish. So also, in the sea of consciousness, which is my correct reality, these experiences of joy and pain, of pleasure and its opposite, they come along, float in it, play around for some time in my field of vision, and then vanish. I do not identify with them. What then do I identify with? The knowledge that all of this put together is what human experience is about. Yeah? So, it desists from making the superficial extension that, oh, I desire this kind of pleasure and pain, and therefore there is this epitome of pleasure and pain called heaven. Similarly, when I experience pain, I say, oh, there is this epitome of pain which is called hell. That objectification of pleasure and pain as real, giving them reality values, is not there. It's not something that is going to happen over a day. It's not something that is going to happen automatically. What then? It's basically the training of the mind, the capacity to step back a little bit from these experiences of pleasure and pain and see them for what they are. These are these instinctive reactions that are happening within us. Can we study them as objective reality? If we can perceive them as something that is not really us, but something that is happening to us, that will give us poise. That will allow us to treat these things as not really lastingly real. And it will also prevent us from flying high one moment and sinking into misery the next. Then the view of the world no longer oscillates between these extremes of optimism and pessimism, but accepts joy and sorrow, accepts good and bad as aspects of the same reality. Aspects of the same reality. What is that reality? It is essentially the experiencer in whom these happen. Now, is that experiencer conscious or unconscious? And by definition, because it's somebody who is an experiencer, it has to be something that is conscious. So, in this conscious principle, sometimes you say, okay, this conscious principle conditioned by good, conscious principle conditioned by bad, conscious principle conditioned by pleasure, conscious principle conditioned by pain. So it is not making the mind dull and insensitive to both joy and pain. It's taking it to the other extreme of being fully aware and embracing this polarity of life's experiences. It is this acceptance that leads to a poise, leads to a certain measure of detachment from the individual experience. What is the opposite of this? Suppose something, what happens? Suppose something unpleasant happens to us. Typically, I mean, it's during pleasant experiences, we are not usually so concerned. But something unpleasant has happened to us. How do we deal with it? Instinctive reaction. Either we break down, which means we lose heart, or we react to it with vehemence and violence, saying that, oh, this is unfair, this is terrible, this is painful, etc., etc. What is happening here? We are either tending to fight the situation or fly from it. This instinctive animal reaction, fight or flight, to something painful is what is defining us at the moment. We don't bother to ask ourselves, does that necessarily have to be our reaction? Do we have to respond to a situation, if it's pleasant, by grabbing it and trying to hold on to it with all our might? Or if it's unpleasant, either try to fight it or fly from it? Is that really necessary? See, very, very often he says, oh no, there is this, basically when people start saying, oh, there is this, such and such things are extremely wrong, blah, 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 and we go on disturbing the world with all our noise and all our judgments. Yeah. I mean, essentially what we are really doing is that somehow or the other we are declaring to ourselves a right, which basically says that, no, I have the right to pass judgment on such and such, such and such, such and such. Who cares about your judgment? The world is much larger. It's really not interested in all these moral judgments or ethical judgments or even aesthetic judgments that we pass on it. And if one is not really doing anything about it, apart from complaining, then it's a very lazy, very, very lazy reaction not backed by thought. It's a mindless reaction, rather superficial reaction at that. And so what really needs to be done is during these experiences, during a pleasant experience, do we grab onto it and say, oh, yeah, this is so real, this is so real. Somebody has given you, somebody has expressed some praise or ululation, etc., and you go on thinking throughout the day, oh, that person has praised me, I'm such a great person. Or somebody curses me and I go on spending for hours on end feeling miserable about how that person has cursed me. What has happened? We have outsourced our sources of satisfaction. Instead of looking within ourselves and finding where satisfaction really comes from, what we have done is we have outsourced it, put it into the pockets of others. It's a rather silly point of view to adopt. I mean, if you think about it. It's only persons who are caught. Is there a phone ringing somewhere? Okay. So what really needs to be done is that it's this capacity to step back and see things that, look, it's not. Can you put the phone on the silent mode, please? Thank you. So what's really going on is that if we can actually step back, then we can see these reactions as part and parcel of our own mind. Who is doing this? It's part of me. It is part of me that is saying that this is good, part of me that is saying something is bad. Understanding these reactions is going to really help us understand what is it that defines what I consider real. And holding on to that gives us poise and allows us to not get deflected by these extremes of optimism and pessimism. I'll conclude here by reading again this last bit and then we will return to it. Next week I won't be here, nor the week after, so we'll resume after that. We find then that this world is neither optimistic nor pessimistic. It is a mixture of both. And as we go on, we shall find that the whole blame is taken away from nature and put upon our own shoulders. This last bit, taking away the responsibility of making myself cheerful away from the external world and taking full responsibility for it, is what subjective courage is about. When a person keeps complaining about the setup that person is in and saying, okay, this is the setup which is causing me misery, if I could only escape from it, I would be very happy. What has happened is that because of this lack of maturity, lack of being able to step back and see the pleasant and the unpleasant as aspects of experienced reality, what we've done is essentially lost heart, lost courage. Basically saying that no, I am not responsible for happiness and pain that comes to me. Somebody else is. Yes, somebody else has come and given me something which has caused me pain. Who has reacted to it? Has that person reacted? Some people might assume that, oh, if they insult, then I'll actually feel very pained. Not necessary. It depends on how I react. whether I attribute any lasting value to it. For the moment, the mind might throw out reactions. But whether or not it's really capable of making the person miserable or joyful, does it really lie outside? The answer to that should be no. It depends on me, and I'm capable of controlling that reaction. Once that happens, what has really happened is that it's a courageous decision. This person's heart has developed this courage to accept what comes as phenomena and not blame the world, nor lie in eternal gratitude in front of the world. Basically, all of this is coming and going, and the responsibility is on me and me alone. We will end with this. Again, from one of Vivekananda's poems, thine alone is the hand that holds the rope that drags thee on. We feel that we are bound. At the same time, we are holding on to the rope that binds us. Let go thy hold. That's it. So this is the thing. It's not that the external world binds us. We are bound by our reactions to the world. So the solution to that problem has to be sought in our hearts by training our psyche, by training our minds and hearts to not be overwhelmed by external sources of joy or woe. We'll return to this when we come back next. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.